7 glorious years of peace have passed since the defeat of Perfect Cell, and during this time, the Earth has experienced an unprecedented era of tranquility. However, even in peacetimes, those who would fight to protect it cannot become complacent, lest a new threat arise to take it all away. No one knows this better than Pan, and so as we resume our tale, it is with her and Gohan sparring in the early morning light, a practice still carried over from their days preparing for the arrival of the androids. After a brief round of fisticuffs to warm up, the now 18-year-old hybrids eye each other, waiting to see who will make the first move, though as ever it is the more impatient Pan who breaks the stillness, flaring her aura and launching herself at her father. Grinning that his old training partner's gotten predictable, Gohan zips out of the way, allowing Pan to strike his afterimage before grabbing her in a full Nelson from behind. However, as well as being impatient, Pan is also wily, revealing this was a feint, as she executes a Masenko that sends them both flying backwards into a nearby mesa, with Gohan taking the brunt of the impact as he is currently behind her. In the aftermath, the duo manage to disengage from each other, soaring in opposite directions, and as they meet again, it is in a flurry of faster-than-sight impacts that appear as flashes along the skyline. This draws the attention of another young warrior, that being Goten, and as the elder hybrids break apart in preparation for their next clash, he flies through his bedroom window to ask if he can join in. Grinning mischievously, Pan says that of course he can, before yelling at her little uncle to help her gang up on Gohan. Gulping, Gohan yelps that he didn't agree to that, but it's already too late, as his brother and daughter are now upon him, firing off a volley of ki blasts that he is forced to hastily avoid. This however leaves him vulnerable to a sneak attack, as well as focuses on the blasts. He does not notice Goten coming at him from above, until the boy tackles him to the ground, with Pan soon following suit. Landing in a heap, the 3 Son kids then begin to laugh, teasing each other about the fairness of that last move. That is until a yell causes them all to fall silent. Looking in the direction of their home, they see Chi-Chi standing in the doorway, looking furious as she berates Goten for engaging in delinquent behavior, before lambasting the elder pair for getting their clothes all dirty and sweaty before their first day of school, which they are running late for, she might add. Despite having defeated Perfect Cell, neither Gohan nor Pan are brave enough to stand up to the wrath of Chi-Chi, and so bowing their heads, they apologize, before calling Nimbus and taking off towards Orange City. Due to living so far away, it takes Gohan and Pan over an hour to reach the city by flying Nimbus, meaning when they arrive, they are cutting it awfully close to the start of school. Nonetheless, when they witness a group of bank robbers threatening the nearby citizens with guns, neither can turn a blind eye, transforming into Super Saiyans to hide their identities and quickly driving the crooks off. Thinking nothing of this good deed, the duo then attempt to get back to their commute, though to their surprise they find themselves heralded as heroes. Knowing they'll definitely be late if they stop to sign autographs, the pair of teens use their incredible speed to vanish, appearing in a nearby alley and dropping back to their base form. Then as one they turn to leave, only to almost collide with a figure rounding the corner, a young woman with long black hair. Curtly, she asks the hybrids if they saw who stopped these robbers, stating it couldn't have been the police, and while Gohan shrugs that he is afraid he missed it, Pan remains speechless, staring at the other girl with open-mouthed amazement. That's her mum. Scowling, Videl then storms past the pair, going to investigate further, while Gohan has to practically drag Pan away when the future warrior ignores him in favor of staring transfixed at the long-haired girl's back. When Videl is out of sight, Pan returns to normal, and though Gohan wants to ask his future daughter why she was acting so weird, there isn't any time, as by now they are indeed running late. Arriving at Orange Star High just as the bell rings, the 2 members of the Son clan head to the principal's office, where they are briefed on their schedule, as well as school rules. Due to the fact that no one would believe them if they explained the true nature of their relationship, Pan has been enrolled under the guise of being Gohan's cousin, and so it is that the cousins are ushered into their first class, where to their shock, they find none other than Videl, discussing the appearance of the so-called Golden Warriors with her friends. Taking their seats, the 2 Saiyans listen as Videl explains how an eyewitness said the warriors were wearing their school badge, before suspiciously commenting that they were both at the crime scene, weren't they? Gulping, Gohan awkwardly laughs that sure they were, but so was she. Not that it matters though, as none of them are blonde. Sighing, Videl acknowledges that this is true, dropping the issue for now, while at her side, her 2 friends introduce themselves. Though it is an effort to take her eyes off Videl, having wanted to meet her in this timeline since the moment she arrived, Pan looks over the other 2, though truthfully she doesn't think much of them. That is until she catches sight of the way Sharpner is carefully positioning himself, so she will notice his muscles, in a way that is meant to look cool and effortless, at which point she makes a mental note to ignore him whenever possible. On closer inspection, she doesn't much like the way Arase is looking at Gohan either, as there is something something in the blonde girl's gaze that makes Pan fear for the existence of this timeline's version of herself. While she knows that the events of this timeline will have no bearing on her own existence, as otherwise she would have already ceased to exist long ago, she does feel a certain desire for herself to be born, and so gives the blonde a slight frown, as if warning her against taking things any further. Nonetheless, she greets her new classmates warmly, introducing herself and chatting with them amiably until she is shushed by the teacher. For the rest of the day, Gohan and Pan begin to integrate into this new friend group, joining them for lunch and even playing baseball with them in gym class. Here the two hybrids inadvertently cause a scene when even a small portion of their strength astounds the regular humans, though for the most part they're able to laugh off their astonishing feats as beginner's luck. When the school day is finally over, Gohan and Pan bid their new friends goodbye, then make their way to Capsule Corp, having decided that after nearly having their identities discovered by Dill, they need disguises in case they need to do any more heroing. Luckily, Bulma is able to help, promising to build them each special watches that will allow them to change in and out of their hero costumes in an instant. Since this will take a while, Gohan and Pan decide to visit Trunks, who is delighted to see them, with the lavender-haired youth asking if Big Sis Pan's here to train him some more. Smiling, Pan says she hadn't intended to, but she's glad he's taking his training seriously, since it proves just how much he is like his future counterpart. This makes Trunks beam with pride, and as the three Saiyans depart Trunks' bedroom, they make a beeline for the dusty and disused gravity room. Due to Vegeta having already been revived by the Earth Dragon Balls on Namek, he was not returned to life by the wish the Z-Fighters had made after the Cell games, and though Bulma had advocated for another expedition to Namek to use their set, she had ultimately conceded that perhaps it would be best if the prideful Saiyan stayed dead, after learning about the role he had played in allowing Cell to reach perfection. As a result, it had fallen to Pan to be Kid Trunks' mentor, a role she was happy to fulfill, as it allowed her to keep her promise to her old master. Seeing this, Gohan had decided to take a more active role in Goten's training, with the two boys becoming friendly rivals in a manner similar to Gohan and Pan themselves. For the next 2 hours, Pan and Gohan train with Trunks, similarly to how they did with Goten that morning, stopping only when Bulma calls them to a workshop to reveal a pair of watches. Putting them on and pressing the buttons, the two elder Saiyans suddenly find themselves in matching outfits, with the only difference being the color of their capes and tunics are inverted, with Pan's being red while Gohan's is green. Checking themselves out in the mirror, the pair eagerly ask Trunks what he thinks, though to their dismay, they are met by a rather tepid reaction from the boy, who calls them kinda lame. Undeterred, Gohan and Pan thank Bulma for this, and with smiles on both their faces, they take off. Due to having their identities hidden, the pair are able to fly for themselves rather than ride Nimbus, meaning they make much better time, though when Gohan spots a pair of men driving recklessly down below, he dives to intercept with Pan right behind him. Landing in front of the car, Pan begins yelling at the driver to be more careful, since he could have hit someone, though to her annoyance, instead of being cowed, the driver and his friends start laughing. That is until she puts a fist through the hood in frustration, at which point the two speedsters change their tune, promising to be more careful. Beaming, Gohan calls this a promising start to the careers of... though here he pauses, needing to think of a name for them, before finally settling on the Great Saiyan Man and Great Saiyan Woman. Truthfully, Pan doesn't think much of these names, but seeing how proud of him Gohan is, she decides to go along with it, fist bumping him and sealing the deal on their crime-fighting partnership. Over the next few weeks, the Great Saiyan Man and Great Saiyan Woman become a staple in Orange City and beyond, putting a stop to any and all crime they come across, with their trademark super strength and super speed. As a result, it does not take long for them to become beloved public figures, though unfortunately, not everyone loves them, as while Chi-Chi thinks it's silly that two teenagers would be playing dress-up, Videl is even more against them, feeling as though these caped bozos are stealing her thunder as Orange City's protector. However, this is not the only issue the dynamic duo must face, as while they both hold the same dedication to justice and protecting the innocent, there is one area in which they differ: posing. Due to her upbringing and sensibilities, Pan refuses to prance around like Gohan, instead standing off to the side and trying to hide her shame as her father pulls off ever more cringe-inducing little dance routines. As a result of this, a perception begins to form in the minds of the people that cast the Great Saiyan Woman as the stoic hero and Saiyan Man as her goofy and excitable sidekick. While at first Gohan doesn't let this bother him, when the papers start referring to him as such and giving him nicknames like Saiyan Boy and the Caped Ballerina, he does grow a little dejected, insisting that his poses strike fear while citing the Ginyus as proof. A little derisively, Pan questions if he bases all his decisions on the words of evil dead guys, and this is the final nail in the young man's self-esteem, with him agreeing to tone down the poses a little. Meanwhile at school, Gohan and Pan have truly become part of the gang, with Pan growing especially close to Videl. While she does very much enjoy the company of her past timeline mother, seeing many similarities in their personalities, she also has a cunning plan, figuring that if she can become Videl's closest confidant, she can guide her towards Gohan as a romantic partner. partner. Subsequently, she works tirelessly to achieve this position, becoming inseparable from the other girl, while also subtly questioning her on what sort of traits she values in a romantic partner, and if there's anyone here at school she likes. Finally, after much effort, it seems as though she has achieved her goal, when one afternoon Videl pulls Gohan into a supply closet to have a word with him, the look on her face telling Pan that it is about a delicate, perhaps romantic matter. Barely able to contain her giddiness, Pan presses her ear against the crack in the door, wanting to hear Videl's declaration of love firsthand, though is instead dumbfounded when Videl asks Gohan if he knows what she should say to let Pan down easy, since while she's flattered, she just doesn't like the bandana-clad girl that way. In his usual nerdy manner, Gohan muses that this would explain Pan's seeming fascination with Videl, saying that he remembers the way she was staring at her the day they met. However, before the young man can put his foot further in his mouth, the door to the closet swings open, with a red-faced Pan grabbing her so-called cousin by the arm and yanking him outside. Storming through the corridors, Pan furiously tells Gohan that she can't believe he could be so dense, stating that had she not been there, he would have just blown everything. In a slightly flustered voice, Gohan protests that it seemed like Videl had already made her mind up, before adding in a more comforting tone that even if this particular girl doesn't like her back, there are plenty more, and no matter what, he'll always be here for her. While this is a sweet sentiment, it is largely lost on Pan, who is too busy gagging as she yells at him to stop being disgusting. That's her mother he's talking about. It is only when she is finished talking that Pan realizes what she's just said, and as she looks into the shocked eyes of Gohan, she recognizes the gravity of this statement. Hoping to salvage it, she tries to backtrack, but it seems the Popo is already out of the bottle, and as Gohan finally manages to regain his voice, he shakily asks if Videl's really the future mother of his child. Taking a deep breath, Pan nods, explaining the reasoning behind her plan to play matchmaker for him and Videl, as well as apologizing for revealing that, since she remembers how he told her that was the one thing he didn't want to know. Sighing, Gohan says there's nothing that can be done about it now, meaning they just have to keep acting casual around Videl so she doesn't realize something's up. Unfortunately, this is easier said than done, as the pair of hybrids ran into Videl that very afternoon while stopping a crime as Saiyaman and Saiyawoman. While Pan is able to keep up her facade, having far more practice at it, Gohan immediately flubs, forgetting to use his hero voice when speaking to Videl, and even accidentally using her name, all of which shows just how rattled he is by the revelation. This is not lost on someone as perceptive as Videl, who wastes no time in accusing the duo, and seeing no way to hide it any longer, Pan confirms this, pleading with the girl not to share their secret. Scowling, Videl says that she won't on two conditions. First, that they must teach her how to fly like they do, and second, they must enter the upcoming World Martial Arts Tournament, since she's figured they must be related to the old world champ Son Goku, and she wants to see who's stronger, the kid of the current champ or the previous one. Having no bargaining power, both Pan and Gohan agree to these terms, and so set a time for Videl to visit them in the morning for her first flying lesson. Later that day, the duo find themselves at Capsule Corp once again, discussing their predicament with Bulma, as they ask if she could make modifications to their suits to make them tournament legal. While she does find it funny that Gohan, for all his smarts, would make what could only be called a Goku move, she does agree to help, coming up with a simple solution inspired by Pan's old look, as she suggests the pair replace their helmets with bandanas and sunglasses. Trying this for themselves, Gohan and Pan both agree this is perfect, though when they ask Trunks if he likes this any better, his only response is no comment. However, another voice then declares that he thinks it looks neat, with both Gohan and Pan calling out for their father and grandfather respectively, asking if it's really him. Giggling excitedly, Goku replies that yep, it's him, and after hearing that they're going to be entering the tournament, he's decided to cash in his one-day pass so that he can join them. He'll even see if Vegeta wants to come along, revealing that though it took some convincing, King Yemma eventually let the prince have his body back, and so the two of them have been training together on the Grand Kaiswald these last few years, where they've gotten loads stronger. Beaming, Pan cheers that she can't wait to see Grandpa Goku again, though she warns that she and Gohan are also stronger than when they fought Cell, so unless Goku brings his A-game, they're likely to put him to shame. Slipping back into their playful old dynamic, Goku tells her not to count him out just yet, with the pair chatting amiably for a while. That is until Gohan cuts in, saying that if his dad and Vegeta are coming back, he'll assemble the old gang, and they can all meet up at the tournament, an offer Goku is happy to accept. The rest of the afternoon is spent visiting the Z-Fighters, and informing them of Goku and Vegeta's return, and though everyone is excited at the thought of reuniting with their old friend, no one's joy comes close to Chi-Chi when the pair get home. For her part, Pan doesn't think she's ever seen her grandma this happy, with the Son matron practically practically dancing as she tells Goten that he'll finally get to meet his father. The excitement on the boy's face also makes both Pan and Gohan smile, with the three of them talking late into the night as the two teens tell Goten all the funny stories of their time with Goku. As promised, the next morning Videl makes her way to Mount Paozu to begin her flight training. Due to Gohan having taken the time to train Goten since he was small, he is already a proficient flyer, with this leaving just Videl, Pan and Gohan to train together. As a result, the trio make great progress, with Pan being able to fill in Gohan's confusion around girls, while also translating some of the more mystical things Gohan says into terms Videl would understand. Subsequently, by the end of the first day, Videl is able to float on her own, though refusing to stop until she can fly like the Saiyan duo. She declares her intent to return tomorrow. As she goes, however, she is stopped by Gohan, who gives her the same piece of advice as Kennen, that being that she should probably cut her hair. While Gohan misses the blush on Videl's face when she asks if this is Gohan's way of saying he likes girls with short hair, Pan sees it clear as day, and so decides to excuse herself for the rest of the flight training, leaving Gohan and Videl to grow closer, while she trains with Goten and Trunks at Capsule Corp, so they can all be in top shape for the tournament. Finally, the fated day arrives, with the heroes of Earth all assembling at the World Tournament Island, where Goku, Vegeta, and Fortune Teller Baba are waiting for them. As one, the Son clan rush to hug Goku, while Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Piccolo all express their joy at his return in their own ways. In contrast, Vegeta's only welcome is a perfunctory greeting from Bulma, to which he responds with a scowl and a nod. When Goten hugs his dad, and is subsequently lifted onto Goku's shoulders, Trunks tries to do the same, though here he is met with a glare from Vegeta that makes him falter, with a deep look of hurt forming in the boy's eyes at this rejection. Seeing this, Pan breaks away from her family to wrap an arm around Trunks, making sure her surrogate little brother is okay, while also shooting Vegeta an icy glare of her own. Though neither say a word, Pan's message in this moment is clear. I don't care how much you hate the Trunks from my timeline. If you try to take it out on this Trunks, I will hurt you in a way no Dragon Ball can fix. In spite of this latent hostility, the trip to registration is a lively one, as the group catch up. Naturally, everyone is able to qualify for the tournament, with Vegeta still breaking the punching machine, and the kids being annoyed to learn they will have to partake in the junior division. On the upside, this does give the adults something to watch while they wait for the new punching machine to be brought in. To the surprise of no one, the finals come down to Goten and Trunks, with the pair being unable to resist showing off as they start flying around the ring and using ki blasts. In a moment of desperation, Goten does become a Super Saiyan, though when Trunks chides him that they promise not to do that, he reverts and apologizes. From here, the rest of the fight is fought in their base form, which results in the elder Goten getting the win, since with Trunks being less of a brat without Vegeta's influence, he accepts a loss rather than break his promise. From the viewing area, Vegeta calls this typical Earthling cowardice, though what should he expect when the boy was taught by a weak woman with barely any Saiyan blood in her? Rounding on the prince, Gohan snaps that's crossing a line, but before he can act, Pan lays a hand on her father's shoulder, telling him that she can fight her own battles. She then glowers at Vegeta, sarcastically asking him which of them killed Cell, while the other was killed by him again? This question causes a vein to pulse in Vegeta's temple, as he snarls that these are big words, coming from someone so cowardly they had to fight him 2 against 1 last time. Seething, Pan retorts that she'll fight him 1-on-1 right now if he wants, though before either Saiyan can throw the first punch, Videl informs them it's time to resume the qualifying round. Returning to the stage where a new punching machine has been set up, the rest of the Z fighters have no trouble making it through, though they're not the only ones, as they soon come across an odd duo calling themselves Shin and Kibito, with Shin approaching Goku and requesting to shake his hand before walking away with a reassured smile on his face. Though the little sprite seems friendly, something about his strange ki concerns the heroes, with everyone agreeing to keep an eye on him. Finally, the matchups are announced, and they are Yamu vs Killer, Marjunia vs Krillin, Shin vs Jewel, Vegeta vs the Great Saiyan Woman, Goku vs Hercule, the Great Saiyan Man vs Videl, Kibito vs Spopovich, and Pintar vs Mighty Mask. Though there are several exciting clashes in this lineup, especially with potential meetings in later rounds, the first round match which occupies everyone's mind at that moment is Vegeta vs Pan, as after all their bad blood, this will be the chance to settle it in the ring. The first match of the tournament is nothing to write home about, as a small veiny bald guy with a weird M tattoo on his forehead beats the ever-loving snot out of his much beefier opponent, showing a savagery to his fighting style that makes several members of the audience look away in disgust. After his victory comes Krillin vs Piccolo, with the pair of old friends commenting that this takes them back to their match match in the 23rd tournament. Jokingly, Krillin asks if Piccolo is going to be as brutal as last time, though the Namekian merely quips that it depends on if the monk's going to keep asking annoying questions or not. The pair then face off, with Krillin taking the first move as he dashes in, only for Piccolo to leap away at the last moment. Though to his surprise, Krillin follows, causing the pair to engage in a flurry of blows. From the competitors area, Goku chuckles that doesn't that beat all, with Gohan and Pan asking what's wrong. Smiling, Goku explains that this is a mirror of their fight at the last tournament, except Piccolo is using Krillin's moves and Krillin is using Piccolo's. From what he can tell, this is their way of showing their respect for each other, as well as to acknowledge how far the other has come. Finally, the match does end, and in the same way as the first, with Piccolo proving triumphant. Though due to Krillin having never given up his training, and Piccolo having never fused with Kami, it is closer than anyone would have guessed. Next up is Shin vs. Jewel, and though the long-haired human is confident of his victory, stating he was runner-up last time, second only to Hercule, the second the gong sounds to begin, he finds himself sprawled on the grass outside the ring, while Shin just smiles, having seemingly not moved at all. Now at last it is time for Vegeta and Pan's fight, and as the two Saiyans take to the field, there is fire in their eyes. Taking the first move, Vegeta flies at his younger opponent, forcing her onto the defensive as he assails her with a volley of punches and kicks that send her skidding backwards. Soon Pan finds herself pushed to the edge of the ring, and so planting her feet to avoid being sent out of bounds, she ducks, causing Vegeta to overcommit and allowing her to lock her arms around his legs, so that when she rises, the prince is flipped over and nearly sent tumbling headfirst out of the ring. However, Vegeta is not one to go down easily, charging a key ball and slamming it into Pan's back. Due to the heavy scarring on her back from her first fight with the androids, this elicits a yell of pain from the young woman, forcing her to drop her hold on Vegeta and restarting the fight. Floating back to the center of the ring, the prince hisses that it's just like he thought. She is a coward, using cheap tricks to mask her complete lack of skill and pride. Growling, Pan yells at Vegeta to take that back, swinging at him with a punch, though with a cruel laugh, the full-blood Saiyan dodges before driving an elbow into her skull. Landing hard, Pan has to roll to avoid a stomp, firing a set of ki blasts at the ground as she does. This creates a smoke screen, behind which Pan can not only get back to her feet, but launch a surprise attack from, catching Vegeta off guard as she drives a haymaker into his cheek. Now it is the spiky-haired man's turn to be knocked down, with Pan planting a boot on his chest as she orders him to yield, since she's got him dead to rights. Unfortunately, if Vegeta is anything, it's persistent, with the prince bursting into Super Saiyan and using his aura to knock Pan back. In an instant, the tides have turned, as a transformed Vegeta is far too powerful for base Pan to overcome. Mockingly, Vegeta leers that she doesn't have future Trunks to do the heavy lifting for her this time, a claim which makes her blood boil and her hair shine gold. Though she knows she shouldn't have done this, and that she should have followed Trunks' example and taken the loss, her pride will not allow Vegeta to beat her, and so letting out a roar, she begins clashing with the prince once again. In this state, their power seems to be roughly even, a testament to both of their hard work these last 7 years, though this is something Vegeta will not accept. He has trained tirelessly to be the best, so to be matched by a brat is tantamount to failure. Each moment he allows this fast to go on is a wound to his pride, and so he will end this now, and put this future girl in her place. Rising into the air, Vegeta lets out a yell, his power skyrocketing as his hair spikes become more distinct and bioelectricity crackles in his aura, a clear sign that he has also attained Super Saiyan 2. Condescendingly, he then tells her to do the same if she still can, a smirk on his face for the plan he has once she has done so. On the ground, Pan begins to power up as well, her own aura beginning to crackle, though before she can move, she feels her body freeze. Then to make matters worse, she suddenly feels a pair of bulky arms locking around her windpipe, while something painful stabs into her side. Looking around, she sees Spopovich and Yamu, the guys with the M tattoos, though before she can blow them away, a sudden wave of dizziness overtakes her, and she falls forward, completely drained of power. Furiously, Vegeta attempts to blast these two interlopers, feeling they've deprived him of his victory, though before he can touch them, Goku enters the ring and holds him back, saying this is all part of Shin's plan, before revealing he is actually the Supreme Kai. A moment later, Shin also appears alongside Kibito, with the latter healing Pan, while the Supreme Kai explains that he is here to stop the revival of the evil Majin Buu, and he needed to let Spopovich and Yamu steal someone's energy so he could track them back to Buu. Still disgruntled, Vegeta accepts this, having some respect for the Kais after years living on the world of one, though he insists they go now, since he still wants to make those pair of sneaks pay for interrupting his fight. Nodding, Shin calls this wise, and so the team of Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, and Shin all depart, while Gohan stays behind with Pan and Kibito to make sure she's okay. Thankfully, the Apprentice Kai's healing is second to none, and so a few moments later, Pan is back on her feet. Eagerly, she tells Gohan that they have to catch up to the others, though to her surprise, 3 new voices then chime in, saying they're coming with them. Looking around, the pair see Videl, Goten, and Trunks who had come to check on Pan, and though the Saiyan duo protests that it's too dangerous, the trio won't budge. Knowing that the kids will argue until they're blue in the face and that Videl is just as stubborn as her future daughter, the pair are forced to relent, telling the others to be careful as they take off with Kibito by their side. As they go, Videl demands an explanation of what's really going on and why everyone in their group has such amazing powers. Seeing no point in hiding it now, Gohan and Pan give her a rundown going all the way back to Raditz, though when it comes to the story of Pan's timeline, they keep her identity vague, using the same line that Goku did when introducing her to Chi-Chi and saying that Pan is family. Finally, the group of 6 arrive at Babidi's ship, though to their shock and horror, it seems that a fight has already broken out, as the minions of the wizard are locked in battle with the Z-Fighters, while behind them stands a pulsating orb which Kibito states is Majin Buu's container. As it turns out, the power of a Super Saiyan 2 with hybrid potential who had never stopped training, along with the energy gathered from both Piccolo and Krillin's fight, as well as Pan and Vegeta's, was enough to awaken Buu on its own, meaning that now instead of stopping Buu's revival, the hero's only hope is to destroy him before he emerges from his cocoon. Wasting no time, Kibito and the young reinforcements leap into battle, mowing down even some of the higher level minions, like Pui Pui and Yakon with ease. Meanwhile, Super Saiyan 2 Goku is locked in battle with Dabura, proving himself more than a match for the Demon King. In an attempt to regain the upper hand, Dabura employs his stone spit, though on Shin's warning, Goku is able to catch the Lugi with one of his wristbands, discarding it and saving himself. Without this underhanded trick to save him, it is only a matter of time before Goku eliminates the Monarch turned minion, leaving only the wizard Babidi himself. Feeling some of his confidence returning, Shin orders Babidi to surrender and hand over Buu, though with a cackle, the Warlock taunts that if the Supreme Kai wants Buu, he can have him, calling the monster forth. At once the egg splits open, with a creature forming from the pink smoke inside. To the surprise of the Z-Fighters, he is a pink and rotund humanoid, with a face far too jolly to be the monster Shin had warned them about, though when Babidi orders him to attack, the power that rises within the Marge is enough to scare everyone. A moment later, Buu appears in front of Goku, his smile oddly innocent as he drives a mitten-clad fist into the Saiyan's stomach, giggling that now he's it. However, it seems that what Goku is vanquished, as the power of this surprise hit is enough to revert him to his base form and send the righteous warrior crashing through several rock formations before coming to a stop in a heap. The sight of Goku down has a profound effect on the heroes, as in unison they all go on the attack, recognizing how vital it is they take Buu down now. Naturally, Vegeta is the first to attack, raining down blasts on Buu, which soon leave the pink blob full of holes, though when the heroes begin to cheer, they quickly find that their adulation is premature, as with a grunt, Buu reconstitutes himself, his innocent expression now replaced with one of rage. Gulping, Krillin asks what they should do now, though the answer is self-evident. Run, as when Buu lets out an enraged scream, his aura turns the surrounding area into a crater. Though the heroes all escape this, Vegeta is not so lucky as to escape Buu's follow-up, as by pulling off a piece of his taffy-like body, he is able to wrap the Saiyan in it, trapping him and leaving him vulnerable to a barrage of physical attacks. Rushing in to help the prince, Gohan, Pan and Piccolo then fire off a 3-pronged Masenko, though even this does little more than annoy the pink monstrosity, with Buu retaliating with a volley of ki blasts that send the trio flying. Thankfully, they are not the only fighters left, as with a yell Krillin hurls a Destructo Disc which arcs round to sever Vegeta's bindings, before telling the Saiyans they've got to run, since with Goku, Gohan and Pan all down, they don't stand a chance. Coldly, Vegeta snarls that he would rather die than run, though from a distance away, Goku agrees with Krillin, saying they need to retreat for now and teach the others that technique, since it's the only way they can hope to beat Buu. Still obstinate, Vegeta retorts that the form they found in Otherworld should suffice, though with a frown, Goku says that while that form is strong, he's not sure it could beat Buu. Chuckling darkly now, Vegeta growls that it sounds like Kakarot's questioning his abilities. Very well, he can take his Earthling friends and the brats to try and learn that technique if he wants, though it won't amount to anything, since he'll have single-handedly finished off Buu before they've even mastered the first step. Despite all the prince's bluster, Goku recognizes this for what it is, and so smiling softly, he thanks Vegeta, before gathering up the others and heading for the lookout. When Vegeta and Buu are alone, the Saiyan jeers that now the riffraff are gone, he can get down to crushing this pink freak, and throwing him into the wind. Falling for this taunt, Buu leaps forward, a petulant scream on his lips, though he is not the only one yelling, as with a scream that rocks the very foundations of the planet, Vegeta begins transforming, his hair growing long and wild, while his brows become pronounced and hairless. This is the power he earned through 7 years of hard training in the afterlife, Super Saiyan 3, and it is what will destroy Majin Buu, not Kakarot's ridiculous technique. Up on the lookout, the remaining Z-Fighters assemble, with Kami and Mr. Popo greeting them gravely, having seen what is happening down on Earth. Having no time for small talk, Goku asks if they can use this place to train, since Vegeta's diversion will only buy them a little bit of time, as by using Super Saiyan 3, he's eating up a big chunk of his time left on Earth. Nodding, Kami replies that he and his friends are always free to use this place as they need, with the Saiyan calling him the best, before gesturing for everyone to follow him. As they walk, Goku explains his plan, that being to teach two of them a technique called fusion, which he learned in Otherworld. As the name suggests, it will allow two warriors to become one, though to do it, the two fighters need to be of roughly even size, have equal power, and be able to complete a series of dance steps in perfect unison. Luckily, they have a pair who should be able to meet all three criteria, with that being Gohan and Pan. Nodding resolutely, Gohan and Pan both agree to do their best, with Goku grinning that's all he can ask, though since they're so short on time, the two of them are going to conduct their training in the hyperbolic time chamber once he's shown them the steps. Confused, Gohan asks why Goku isn't coming with them, but shaking his head, Goku replies that while he could risk it, there's a good chance his one-day pass would only allow him to spend a day in the chamber, and in that case, he wouldn't be much use with it all being spent so quickly. Better that he stays out here and awaits their progress. Understanding Goku's point, both Gohan and Pan tell him they're ready to begin, causing the Saiyan to smile as he starts laying out the steps of the fusion dance. Back with Vegeta, he is wailing on Buu with everything he has. Thanks to the power increase from Super Saiyan 3, the Majin is barely able to keep up, more often than not being on the receiving ends of blows and blasts. Unfortunately, what he lacks in power, Buu makes up for in regenerative ability, taking these hits and coming back just as strong. By now the pink creature has truly come to despise Vegeta, and so is fighting to kill, launching rapid-fire candy beams that the prince has to dash in between, after witnessing one hit Babidi and turn him into a cookie. As Buu takes a break to devour the cookie, Vegeta strikes, ramming a knee into the monstrosity's head that flattens it, with the vast majority being crammed into Buu's chest cavity. While this does annoy Buu, he is far more upset by the sight he beholds when his head pops back out, his cookie having crumbled into pieces from the force of the hit. Screaming like a demon, Buu holds nothing back in his next salvo, slamming Vegeta into a rock face and punching him repeatedly in the face as he cries that the bad man made his cookie go bye-bye. Fortunately for Vegeta, at this point-blank range, he has no problem firing a big bang attack, which splatters Buu across the wasteland, with the prideful Saiyan wiping a piece of the monster's bubblegum-like body off his boot, as he calls him a disgusting worm. From a slight distance, a cranky voice then speaks up, that of Baba, as she asks if he's done yet, since his time's run out, so he has to return to Otherworld. Scowling, Vegeta tells her to take him back then, though before the witch can approach, the pair notice something moving, and as they look on in horror, they witness Buu completely reform himself. Flaring his aura again, Vegeta growls that it seems his return trip will have to wait, since he isn't done crushing this piece of filth. Angrily, Baba yells that Vegeta doesn't get to decide that, and unless he gets back to Otherworld soon, he will cease to exist, since there are cosmic laws that prevent the dead from interacting with the world of the living without a pass. Still glaring at Buu, Vegeta retorts that he'll have to take that chance. Then without another word, he resumes his onslaught. Returning to the lookout, Gohan and Pan are hard at work. After watching Goku perform the steps several times with Piccolo, they have begun attempting to replicate it. While their first attempt was unsuccessful, with Pan's incorrect footwork causing them to transform into an emaciated entity whose power had been too low to even remain standing under the weight of 10 times gravity, they are now confident they can get it. As one, the pair begin the dance, taking extra special care to mirror each other perfectly, while also chanting in unison. Everything seems to be going perfectly, until the moment where they go to touch fingers. Being a little overeager, Gohan accidentally moves too fast, one of his fingers missing Pan, and causing another failed fusion. This time they manifest as a morbidly obese fighter, who just like the skinny one is no use to them. Knowing that there's nothing that can be done until the 30-minute time limit runs out, the amalgamated warrior takes a seat, hoping this lost time will not come at too high a cost. Little do they know that down in the wasteland, Vegeta has already begun feeling the effects of his defiance of cosmic law. Though he is still able to fight, his body has slowly started fading away into wisps of smoke, and being a smart man, the prince knows that it will not be long before he is entirely gone. However, instead of feeling fear or remorse, Vegeta sees this as a challenge, warning Buu that if he's going down, he's taking the blob with him into oblivion. Though Buu doesn't know what most of those words mean, he recognizes the tone, and so sticks out his tongue, jeering that Spiky Man can no take him down. He Buu, he's strongest in all the universe. Barely able to believe he is fighting such an oaf, Vegeta charges at Buu once again, his wild golden hair flowing behind him as he lays into the ancient Jin. He just has to hold on a little while longer, just long enough to destroy Buu. That's all that matters. Then, he feels something. A power the likes of which he has never felt before. Compared to it, even his Super Saiyan 3 state seems paltry. What sort of monster is that? A moment later, he knows, and as the fused warrior appears with Kakarot by her side, he's forced to concede that the other Saiyan was right. Firing off another Big Bang attack to keep Buu occupied with regenerating for a moment, Vegeta orders the amalgam to end this freak. Then with what's left of his face, he turns to Baba, telling her to take him back to Otherworld now. A moment later, Vegeta and Baba vanish, and not a second too soon, as by now Buu has finished reforming and is looking around for where the Saiyan has gone. In her ringing double voice, the fusion who has dubbed herself Gopan informs Buu that Vegeta's gone, but she'll be happy to play with him. Eagerly, Buu asks if she's strong, and with a confident grin, Gopan replies that she's the strongest there is. She then flashes into Super Saiyan, her eyes locked on Buu as she readies a Masenko. Dim-witted though he is, even Buu can recognize this actually might be able to kill him, and as he lets out a terrified scream, the Gohan side of Gopan wonders if this is a mistake, and that they can maybe redeem Buu, thinking of Piccolo, and to a degree Vegeta. However, this thought is promptly snuffed out by the instincts inherited from Pan, which carry with them the philosophy that to spare an enemy is to give them a chance to hurt others in the future, and that the only way to peace is to destroy villains once and for all. And so it is that when Gopan opens fire, she holds nothing back, eradicating Buu on a cellular level, and bringing a permanent end to his evil. With the threat now past, our heroes are at last free to return to the tournament, a thought that seems so alien after what they've just been through, though with nothing better to do, they all head back. Due to having missed their matches, each of the Z fighters have already been disqualified, with Hercule taking the title for the second time. Though Goku is disappointed he didn't get a chance to fight, he figures there's still enough time for a few quick spars before he has to go back to Otherworld. However, here and now defused Pan points out that he really doesn't have to go back at all, since if anything, this recent crisis just proved his theory about being a danger magnet wrong, as Buu would have appeared with or without him, not to mention that it also showed that while the next generation may not need his power, they need his knowledge, since it was his fusion technique that allowed them to save the day. So if he really wants to protect the Earth and foster the next generation, the best thing he can do is stick around as a guide, since there is still plenty she, Gohan, Goten and Trunks could stand to learn from him. Rubbing the back of his head, Goku giggles that he's still not sure, though when she gives him a scowl reminiscent of Chi-Chi's, he gulps it on second thought, it probably is time he returned to life. However, he then adds that if he's gonna do this, they should also revive Vegeta. Still scowling, Pan demands to know why they'd ever revive a jerk like him, though with a wise smile, Goku points out that for all his faults, Vegeta has fought to defend the Earth multiple times, and more than that, he was willing to sacrifice his one and only day back in the living world, as well as his very existence for the sake of everyone. So even if she doesn't like him, she's got to admit that in his own way, Vegeta's a hero. Letting out a huff, Pan concedes that she supposes this is fair, though all the same, she'll be keeping an eye on him, especially in the way he treats Bulma and Trunks. Grinning, Goku replies that he wouldn't expect any less from his granddaughter. Then with a chuckle, he instant transmissions off to New Namek, since he'll need the help with the Namekian Dragon Balls to revive himself and Vegeta. With this matter settled, Pan then goes to check in on Gohan, wanting to see if that fusion felt as weird to him as it did to her. Spotting him with Videl, she goes over to the pair, asking if they'd like to go get something to eat, though here Gohan looks a bit sheepish, as he says that he and Videl were just planning to do so. Grinning, Pan says she'll join them, baffled why this would make her father embarrassed, though she receives her answer a moment later, when Gohan clarifies they were going to do so alone. Like a date. Eyes widening, Pan congratulates the two, saying she's sure they'll make a great couple, though with a sly smile, Videl replies that Pan would know, being their daughter and all. Rounding on Gohan, Pan demands to know why he'd tell her that, though with a knowing smile, Videl says that actually he didn't tell her, she just did with that reaction. This revelation floors Pan, who can't believe her mother figured it out, though being a deeply curious young woman, she has to know how, asking Videl in a hushed voice. Still smiling, Videl reveals that she had an inkling after hearing Pan was from the future, since it explains why she stayed with the Son family specifically, though the real dead giveaway was the fact that she just looks like both of them. Pan isn't sure what to say after a statement like this, though luckily she doesn't have to, as Videl uses this opportunity to pull her into a hug, saying she's glad to know that her future kid turned out so great. A moment later, Gohan joins the hug as well, and as the family of three hold each other, Pan feels a sense of contentment she hasn't known since she was a very small child. However, all good things must come to an end, and so a few moments later Gohan and Videl disengage themselves from the hug, taking off into the sky and promising to see Pan later. As they go, the young Quarter Saiyan can't help but smile, happy that this version of her parents get to have their relationship in a peaceful world. And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.